He was the first man in U.S. history to hijack a plane for ransom. He leapt out of a commercial jet with a parachute, $200,000, and was never seen again, dead or alive.
D.B. Cooper didn't vanish into thin air. He went home to his kids, and 50 years later, they may have just cracked the biggest unsolved case in American criminal history. For decades, the mystery of D.B. Cooper has captured imaginations and defied logic. A man boards a plane, orders a bourbon and soda, hands a note to a flight attendant claiming he has a bomb, demands $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes, and then vanishes midair into the freezing night sky, never to be seen again. No body, no confirmed identity, no solid evidence, just theories, dead ends, and a few tattered bills found years later near a riverbank. But now, everything might have changed.
We are going to begin tonight with a potential break in one of the greatest mysteries in all of American history. I'm talking about the hunt for the true identity of D.B. Cooper.
Because the family of a long-deceased man has come forward claiming not only that Cooper was their father, but that they've found the parachute he used to escape. Yes, you read that right. Shante and Richard McCoy III, the adult children of the late Richard McCoy Jr., have stepped out of the shadows and into the spotlight with a jaw-dropping claim. Their dad was D.B. Cooper, and they've got more than just words to back it up. In the dusty corner of their late mother's shed, hidden beneath decades of storage and silence, the McCoy siblings uncovered what they believed to be the parachute rig their father used during his legendary leap from a hijacked plane in 1971.
We just solved it. Literally. Literally, this is the rig because they know what rig he used when he jumped that night.
The moment they realized what they were looking at, they reached out to Dan Grider, a retired pilot and longtime aviation investigator who's spent 2 decades chasing Cooper's trail. Grider, who runs a YouTube channel called Probable Cause, didn't dismiss the discovery as coincidence. In fact, he called the parachute 1 in a billion. Let that sink in. Not 1 in 1,000, not 1 in a million, 1 in a billion.
Now, he says it belongs to a man named Richard McCoy Jr. Now, look at the side-by-side comparison. The parachute was found on the McCoy family property about 2 years ago. Now, he has always been a rumored longtime suspect.
He says the rig exactly matches the kind used in the hijacking, and it didn't just magically appear. It was found on property belonging to the McCoy family, the very same McCoy family whose patriarch was once a top suspect in the Cooper case. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Richard McCoy Jr. was no stranger to hijacking planes. In April 1972, just months after the D.B. Cooper heist, McCoy pulled off an eerily similar stunt. He boarded a flight in Denver, demanded $500,000, 4 parachutes, and bailed out midair over Utah. Unlike Cooper, though, McCoy was caught just 2 days later. He was sentenced to 45 years in prison, escaped 2 years later, and was eventually killed in a shootout with the FBI. McCoy, a former Vietnam War helicopter pilot, had the skills, the nerve, the look. Even the FBI's own sketch of D.B. Cooper resembled McCoy's photo. But the agency dismissed the connection. Officially, they never tied the 2 cases together. Now, all of that is being questioned. According to Grider, the parachute find triggered a new wave of FBI interest. Agents reportedly searched every inch of the McCoy property in North Carolina. And Grider himself claims the Bureau is actively pursuing a DNA match between samples taken from the parachute and the partial DNA left behind on the aircraft door used by Cooper. So far, the FBI hasn't confirmed the reinvestigation, but they haven't denied it either. In fact, their last public statement from 2016 left the door open. While they announced they were no longer actively investigating the case, they added that any new physical evidence, especially related to parachutes or the stolen money, should be reported to a field office immediately. Guess what? That's exactly what just happened. So what does this all mean? Well, let's zoom out. For years, the Cooper case has been America's ultimate true crime riddle. From the moment that Northwest Orient Airlines jet lifted off from Portland on November 24, 1971, the country has been fixated on what happened next. Cooper wasn't some hot-headed criminal. He was calm, polite, and professional. He sipped his bourbon, smiled at the flight attendant, and made sure the passengers were safely released in Seattle before disappearing into the dark sky somewhere over southwest Washington. $200,000 gone, a man gone, and a trail colder than the air 10,000 feet up. That was until 1980, when a young boy stumbled across a few rotting bundles of cash on the banks of the Columbia River, bills that matched the serial numbers from Cooper's ransom haul. It sparked a new frenzy of interest. Documentaries, podcasts, YouTube channels, Reddit threads. theories ranging from secret agents to alien abduction. But now, we're looking at real physical evidence, a real family, a real parachute, and possibly a real name. What's even more mind-blowing is what McCoy's children are saying. They've long suspected their father was Cooper, but until now, they stayed quiet, unsure of what it would mean, or whether they'd even be believed. It was only when they came across the parachute that they decided the time had come to speak out.
That have gone exactly nowhere. But according to my next guest, his discovery of the parachute caught the attention of the FBI, who then visited the home and took the parachute into custody. Now, we asked the FBI about this, and they wouldn't confirm nor deny. They would only point us to a 2016 statement that basically says they've stopped wasting resources on this because they've gotten nowhere.
And they're not alone. Dan Greiter believes them. Veteran sleuths believe them. And with the FBI reportedly back on the scent, we might be on the cusp of rewriting a half-century of criminal lore. There's even talk that McCoy's body might be exhumed to retrieve DNA. That's how serious this just got. If that DNA matches what was left behind in 1971, the tie Cooper wore, the fingerprints on the seatbelt buckle, then the case might not just be heating up, it might finally be closed.
But they say something very interesting at the end of that 2016 statement. Quote, although the FBI will no longer actively investigate this case, should specific physical evidence emerge related specifically to the parachutes or the money taken by the hijacker, individuals with those materials are asked to contact their local FBI field office.
So let's recap this wild ride. In 1971, D.B. Cooper hijacked a plane, stole $200,000, and disappeared. In 1972, Richard McCoy Jr. hijacked a plane, stole $500,000, and was caught. In 2023, McCoy's children find a parachute in their mom's shed. In 2024, Dan Greiter confirms it matches the Cooper rig. The FBI quietly gets involved, DNA testing is on the table, and here we are, which begs the question, did Cooper ever really disappear? Or did he go home to his family, live a secret life, and leave behind a story so outrageous it was hiding in plain sight? Let us know what you think in the comments. Was Richard McCoy Jr. truly D.B. Cooper? Did the government miss the answer all along? Is the FBI finally ready to admit it? And if this story left you as shocked and fascinated as we are, smash that subscribe button. Because mysteries like this are only the beginning. We're diving deep into the strangest, wildest, and most jaw-dropping unsolved cases of all time. And who knows, the next time someone vanishes into thin air, we might just be the ones to find them.
Artifacts that will tie Richard Floyd McCoy. That's the only way they can close it is with a solid DNA lock. They're going to keep this. Everything that I found is at Quantico, the FBI laboratory. Everything I found is in one storage location at Quantico right now, and their efforts are purely DNA related.